Morning. All right, just so you know you're in the right session, this is social media. I wanted to first go ahead and introduce Caitlin Cloven here, have her give a little her background, and then I'll take over there.
Hi, I'm Caitlin Cloven. I am the social media director and chief operations officer for Think Liberty. I'm also the assistant social media director for Being Libertarian, the largest libertarian independent publication on Facebook. We're currently at almost 800,000 followers on Facebook. I do a lot of the back-end stuff, so I don't do a lot of content creation. That's kind of what Resa does. I handle analytics, strategy, a lot of the advertising stuff. So I'm good for questions for that, and then I'll let Resa take it over.
Thank you. Like she said, I do a lot of the content creation, the captioning, the sharing strategy, and whatnot. So her role and my role, they're very complementary. So I'm the one who's usually up front making the posts, and she's the one behind the scenes with the analytics and the marketing. So I got my start with Larry on Larry's team, and God, it's been almost, 2 years now? Yeah, it's been almost 2 years now. So I started with him as just a volunteer on the campaign team, and I helped out with the social media. So I really didn't have any prior experience with social media before I hopped on with Larry. I just kind of jumped into the fire and learned on my feet there. And eventually I got moved up to Deputy Director of Messaging. Yeah, I think I got that right. So I was in charge of the social media teams, and we had an amazing dynamic team. We still have most of them, which says a lot when your volunteers have sticking power for that long. A lot of it has to do with Larry, of course, but we really we went through a lot of things together as a team, and we got to be friends. So I want to tell you guys a story, and this is a really good connection to how social media works. I know most of you are on social media. You've experienced the good, bad, and the ugly, but I posted something in January, and I posted it because it was hilarious to me, and you might have seen this post going around. It was a picture of a woman breastfeeding in a restaurant, and there was a whole rant. It said, "This is disgusting. I can't believe that people do this in public," and just on and on and on and on. So the tagline at the end of it had people read to the end of it, said, "There's no excuse for leaving dirty flip-flops on the table." And if you look at the picture, you saw flip-flops photoshopped into the photo. And that post went bananas, okay? Over 300 comments, and people were chewing me out left and right. How dare you? You're a woman. You're lambasting somebody for doing what comes natural. And I was just, oh my God, it was ridiculous. And the people who were doing the lambasting, you see the likes on the comment, and there were so many likes for those comments. So you could tell those people who were liking the comment, they didn't read it either all the way through. So a story like that, you see that happening a lot on social media. And I just shared it for the laughs, but it was a really good demonstration about how people act and react on social media. So with that story, what does that tell you about people online? Everything's exaggerated, absolutely. What else? They don't read. Mm-hmm. Thinking that somebody could speak without having to brain like careful, like you figure it out. Saying all these posts on Facebook. Yeah, that's a great connection. But it tells you that people have the attention span of a gnat on social media, don't they? They don't want to read. You post an article that you find compelling, what do? They'll scroll past it. I'd rather they scroll past it than read the headline and then do what? Yeah, comment immediately. They read the headline, they know it all, right? They didn't read the content. But most of us know that a lot of these headlines are clickbait. They're meant to provoke you, so they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. So that tells us that people on social media have very short attention spans. So that goes to some of the content that you would put out if you are running your own Facebook page. We have to keep in mind that people do have those short attention spans, and part of it is because they have so much coming into them. So they're like, squirrel, 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 squirrel. So we have to keep that in mind. So when we are posting on our pages, we first want to make sure that we have a variety of content. And statistics say, they prove without a doubt, overwhelmingly, that graphics, aka memes, do very well. And I've seen this time and again with the pages. When we post a really good meme, it goes crazy. Now you think of memes, you think they're silly, but we have the serious memes. And we did a lot of that for Larry. Took his picture, put his policy points on there, and they're short, they're bite-sized, they're visual. People can digest them in about 5 seconds, and that's what's popular. Okay. So when you're working on a page, you want to make sure that you keep most of it visual. You don't want to go on there and just type out a diatribe over and over, and that's the content of your page, because you're going to lose your people. So variety, you can do that once in a while, but graphics, definitely graphic heavy, whether that's you taking your picture, putting your policy points on there, sharing a really good meme that aligns with your viewpoints. Articles do well, but keep in mind, when you choose an article, you got to look at that title, because you will have the reactive people who don't read it, and then you're going to have to do some footwork when you're engaging. And that's important when you are running a page, or you have somebody running a page for you. It's all about engagement. So you want to be present, whether you're the one running that page and interacting, or you have somebody doing it for you. You want to be present. You want to be in the comment sections. You want to answer their questions, because something that's rare, I think these days, for anybody in politics, it's rare for followers to actually see that person interacting. They want that. They want to talk to you. They want to get to know you. So when you're involved on your page and you're commenting on your own content, or you're answering questions, sometimes people are shocked. I mean, I've seen this on your page multiple times. When you come in there and you make comments, oh my God, Larry's talking to me. Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
I think that was my reaction the first time you responded to me.
They're not used to that. They're used to some bot posting, I call it a bot, but it's just a person behind the scenes posting, and there's no interaction. There's nothing personal about that. And in our line of work, we need to connect to these people, which means we need to engage with them. And they're not seeing that from the R's and the D's. So we need to do that. We need to reach out and do extra footwork and really engage with our people so they understand us. We build relationships. We're present, and that's something that they're not used to. Yes. Mm-hmm. Oh, God, yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I said that? I'm so smart. I said that. And it's Lisa saying something, or it's Terry saying something, or Zach saying, it's someone else responding for me. Because I still can't respond to everything. Because that risk when saying something I don't like. Yeah. But in my eyes, I'd rather risk the particular error later than not.
Yeah. And like you said, we sat on conference calls with him and we worked on our messaging because we didn't want to jump in and be Larry and not know what we're talking about, because we would have made Larry look like he had multiple personalities, which we didn't want. We'd confuse his followers. So I remember it took me about a good 4 or 5 months before I was comfortable going on there as Larry and answering questions, because there's so much nuance to that. You want to make sure that you're understanding the policy points, the way he delivers, just all of those little things that make Larry Larry, we had to learn those things. So we had volunteers, and this is probably a tangent, but we had volunteers come on board and say, I want to work on the page. I want to be Larry too. Whoa, 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 whoa. Hold up, hold up. So I would tell them it takes a few months. You really need to understand. And then we'd lose those volunteers because they just wanted to be Larry. But that's a good point. And even with all of us who were responding as Larry, we still couldn't keep up with everything. I mean, it's overwhelming. Even the messages, the private messages that come through, so many. Even after the election, it's still going strong. Yeah. So another thing that I wanted to talk to you about before I hand it off to Caitlin, I can talk forever. This is what I do for a living. I'm a college professor. My students have to say, hush, it's break time. Let us go. So I will try to keep this short. But one thing that I do want to share that is kind of a tried and true practice that I found works like a charm with whatever page I'm running. It doesn't matter what the content, the service, or the product is. This works. So to tailor it to you guys, it's kind of a 4-step process. So first of all, you want to make sure that, I think I mentioned this, variety is the key. When you're posting on your page, variety is the key. And we're kind of reaching across the aisles, and we're trying to appeal to people across the aisles. So we want to make sure that our content is varied and it's not just pandering to one side and whatnot. But what you want to do, especially if you are running for office, this is very important. I want you to find the groups that are relevant to what you're running for. So if it's a local office, go find those community groups on Facebook that it's maybe policing the police or marijuana legalization or infrastructure issues or anything that your community cares about. They probably have a group on Facebook at least. And they're in there talking about it. A lot of them are bitching about it, and rightfully so in many cases. But you want to go find those groups. You want to join those groups. Now, what you want to do is go in and kind of ingratiate yourself in those groups and get involved. This is all about engagement, interacting with the people who are going to be your voter base. So you go in those groups and you respond to them, you have conversations with them, and once they're comfortable with your presence, start tagging your page. Put that little @ sign there, tag your page, and you can say, hey, I am running for this position. This is an important issue to me. Go visit my page and see what else we're talking about over there. See what other conversations we're having. So join those groups, get active, get involved. Another good reason for joining those groups is because you get to share your content to those groups. Okay? So when you know that you've posted a content piece, maybe a Pro 2A piece, you're in a few groups that might cater to that. What I do is I keep a spreadsheet of all the groups, and I've done this for you. I have a spreadsheet of hundreds and hundreds of groups. Most of them are libertarian, but some of them are not. And what I do, when I share out a piece, I look through those groups and I say, what's active? What group has high engagement that this is going to get a lot of conversation for? And what group would care about this? So we have to be sensitive about the content we're sharing and where. We don't want to just share out willy-nilly because we might offend some people and say, what is that content doing in here? That's not what our group is all about. So I go through the spreadsheet, and if I don't have much time, I have all of my groups labeled by high, medium, low engagement in there. So if it's a really high engagement group and I've got like 5 or 10 minutes to share out posts, I'll go to all the high engagement groups that are relevant to that content piece. I'll go share, 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 share. And that right there gives you the opportunity to go in there, watch the comments, how they're reacting to your piece. So that's feedback in and of itself, but you can jump in there and you can interact with those people. So that's another way to reach out to the people that you're trying to reach out to. All right. So, yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and we do that. So I'm glad you brought that up. I'd forgotten about that piece. Yeah, go in there, find something compelling you think that people can hook onto besides the article title. And this is a silly statistic, and we were talking about this last night, but if you add an emoji into your post. So if you're you do a little copy on your posts up there, put an emoji in there. It boosts your engagement, believe it or not. Smiley face, the pondering face.
Now, important emojis to remember. Emojis, but a couple important ones would be like excited about an announcement. The little megaphone. Yeah, just you have to make them relevant. And use more than one. If you're scrolling through your newsfeed, you're going to see a lot of advertisements. Facebook has paid advertisements in the algorithm, so you're going to see one after the other. Pay attention to how they're doing. What their actions look like, what's getting people to attention, what's not. Check the comment section to see the reaction to the ads. Sometimes you'll see ads that are really bad, and you go to the comments and you just say, look at them. Making fun of them, so you just throw the ads. That's how you really do it.
Well,
okay. All right. Well, that was a lot of really good information on creating content and engaging your audience. The other part of engaging your audience is when you start at a new page, you have no audience. You have no followers. You have nobody in particular you're speaking to. You're just hoping to latch on to somebody. When you're making your content, you have to keep one thing in mind that a lot of people really miss the mark on. The content you put out, it will be a reflection of the audience you bring in. So if you're putting a lot of troll content out there to, grab people's attention because it works, a lot of it, controversial topics, you're going to pull in a lot of people who are maybe not the most agreeable, and it's going to run off the audience that you want to bring in. So a good example of this would be with being libertarian. There was a little bit there where the content was kind of shaky. This is before I came on. And we had a lot of conservatives, a lot of Trump-loving Republicans come on our page and think that we were one of them because we were railing against Democrats quite a bit. Now we're kind of feeling the heat from that. And now that we're railing against Republicans, every time Trump does something wrong, we have massive unlikes. So this really does mess with your statistics. So whenever you're starting out a page, whenever you're creating your content strategy, you have to remember, who is this for? Who do I want to bring into my page? Who do I want to reach? What are my goals with the page? Yeah. There's no value in buying likes. Absolutely not. Okay, so that's actually a really good point. There's Facebook groups out there that are like for likes. I had done that before very briefly. I wanted to check out the strategy. So one thing I learned is Facebook is it has built-in algorithms for people's news feeds. It's going to show your page to 10% of your followers on a daily basis. That 10% shifts between your followers. It's not the same 10% all the time, but only 10% of your people are going to see your page each day. Whenever you fill it up with people who aren't actually fans of your page, that percentage goes down. So you're only going to have 2% of your actual followers that care about you who are going to see you. So you're going to have a massive decline in engagement, a massive decline in page growth, because only 2% of people are seeing your stuff. Only 2% of people are going to share it. That's your whole audience right there. Yes. Do not boost posts naturally on the page. Now, if you're just on your page, don't boost a post. You can go into your business manager. If you haven't already, there's a whole backside of Facebook that a lot of people don't know about. There's a few of them, actually. But your business manager is how you're going to run your ads. So you have to set up an actual ad account. There's a whole billing thing in there. But you can create ads. A lot of businesses do this. You'll see it with apparel companies. They have those ads that come through your feed, and you can move the window over, and it has a lot of different things. You build those ads in your business manager. Those have the highest rate of return. Since it's people are putting a lot of money into it, Facebook is prioritizing those ads over page boosts. And another thing with page boosts is after your boost runs out, they cut your organic reach down by almost 75% for over a month because they're trying to incentivize you to buy more page boosts. Yes, almost a month. It can go from a week to a month. There's a friend of mine who had it's up to 75%. A friend of mine, he's on month 2.5 of his stuff going down to almost nothing. Yeah, it's rough. So I did learn that the hard way. Boosting posts is not the way to go. If you go to business.facebook.com, you can set up your page manager, your business manager for your page very easily. And I spend a lot of time in Business Manager running the different brands that I run. If you do have questions with that, you can always hit me up and be like, hey, what's this feature here? There's a lot of YouTube videos, how to learn it. It does get pretty intense once you get into the nitty-gritty part of Business Manager. So definitely reach out for help if you know somebody who knows Business Manager well. Any other questions before I move on? That can have some good return. It depends what you're boosting. Okay, that actually does have a good return. A lot of people don't have a budget for that. Every candidate I've worked with has had no budget for advertising. Good for you, man. That's amazing. Another thing with boosting actually is you can set your target audience. And if you're not doing this, then you're boosting wrong. Anytime you run any ad, especially like custom built advertisements, you need to set an audience. So if it's an event, a lot of candidates have events that they want to get out to people who haven't heard of them. You can set a geographical range. So if it's running for mayor, you can set your town, or it's actually by county or zip code. So you have to get all the zip codes, but you can include those zip codes and a geographical range. You can set it by interests, by demographics, male, female, age, political affiliation, any kind of filter you want, you can set an audience for your advertisement. So if you're not doing that, you absolutely should, because you're going to get a much higher return on your advertisements. Each click, it also costs up to $1. So the more you refine that, the better results you're going to have. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's kind of two parts. So naturally, like organic algorithm, it is going to go down a little bit, but with non-paid. So organic engagement would be non-paid engagement. So that's going to be people who see your post naturally on their feed without clicking into it. All of the algorithm it's not based on content type. It's not based on really anything other than the user itself. So if the user is always on a certain page, it's going to show them that page more often. It's going to show them what their friends are doing. If they click on a friend's profile, they're going to see their friend in their newsfeed a lot more over the next 3 days. There's kind of a 3-day shelf life on engaging with certain people. So it's also going to show them what those friends interacted on. So the more people interact on your page, the better, because it's like a spider web effect. Since the algorithm is not based on pages, it's based on users. The more people you get on your page liking, commenting, and sharing, the more people you're going to see. So creating, back to content strategy, creating stuff that gets people talking, that gets people sharing, is the most important. Now, when it comes to engagement itself, statistically speaking, comments mean more. But those are kind of weighted differently. So comments on shares. So if somebody sees your post and shares it, and then people start commenting on that share, that holds more weight than if people were commenting on your post itself. Because Facebook has, over the last year, they've put a focus more on friends and family. So, you're going to see your friends and families post a lot more than you are going to see advertisers and the pages you like, the things you follow. So if your friends and family are sharing something, that's going to be seen a lot more. And those comments mean a lot more because they're trying to incentivize the friends and family interaction over advertising. Yes. Quality control. So this actually kind of goes into what I wanted to talk about next is team building. So you have to find people who you want on your team that are trustworthy, that share your goal. You have to be very clear in communicating what the goal of your publication or your business or whatever it is. You have to be very clear in communicating that. So everybody's on the same page. They know exactly what to post. So they're not posting these off-the-wall, super controversial things with no backup. Now, you can post about controversial topics and do it tastefully. One thing that kind of leads to that, which sounds kind of silly, it's the graphic quality. So if you're posting a graphic and it's some really off-color meme, you're going to have a lot of off-color people coming. So if you do it professionally, there's quite a few apps like on iPhone and Android that you can make really tasteful graphics with. Canva is my favorite one. It's actually free. There's some paid stuff on it, but I use the free version. There's a lot of templates, but it's all made for paid advertising. So you can put any kind of controversial topic on that, and if it's a good quality graphic, you're most likely going to have good quality people coming in and doing it. So yeah. Mhm. That's where I disagree. They absolutely can, because the biggest advertiser for your page is the page itself. It's the comment sections. So if people come on your page looking for, really interactive conversation, really fruitful discussions, and they see a bunch of people arguing and calling each other horrible names because you have a bunch of really inflammatory people, it's going to turn those good people off. So then it's kind of a snowball effect. So your comment sections are the biggest advertiser for your page. It depends on your business. So if you're a candidate, maybe. I would say it depends on the person, obviously. If they're really trying to understand, but they're being complete, a-holes about it, I would even send them a message. Be like, hey, I see that you're struggling with a lot of these concepts. If you would like to have a one-on-one chat, that would be great. And that could help sometimes. But if they're just on there to troll, I would ban them for a candidate's page. If it's a business, absolutely ban them. But if you're, like, let's say, being Libertarian, it's a huge publication, we don't ban people. We like to have people because we have a large following of actual Libertarians who really understand. And then they start conversations in the comment section to correct that person or to have that discussion. And then new people coming on the page will see those conversations and they'll learn a lot. So people learn in the comment section. But it really depends on the type of page you have, the type of audience you're going for, and the content strategy that you have.
So let me add to that in relation to your page. I scanned 4 people over the course of 2 years. And that's it, 4. Because
yeah. Yeah.
But that also shows you that shows your following that you're not trying to please people. Unless you're a complete a-hole on the page, which
in those cases, I've had to ban people where they're constantly just taking things and they're not on there for any productive reasons. But there are some people that have very controversial opinions that have been on the stage, and when you have a page that promotes hateful discussion, even when you don't agree with it, and there's massive, and you set that tone on the page all the time, you show people that you're tolerant of other opinions, you don't have to bash them over the head, you don't have to silence them. That's a really good experience. So that's why we have this.
We had a guy who, actually Josh knows this guy. He started Think Liberty with me. Jeff Smith. Yeah. He came on every single post we made for, what, a month? Yeah. Telling us how we were closet Republicans, how we were paid shills, how we weren't libertarian enough. I finally got sick of it because it was detracting from other people. It was turning other people off. So that's when I, put the ban hammer down. And even though we're a publication and I don't like banning people, I think he's still the only one we've ever banned from the page. Yeah.
And I want to add something to it. Our competition, Mark, the Republican, his page, I don't know if he had a social media team or it was him. Regardless, he was banning people let in, like, it was just a chocolate slaughterhouse on his page. If you said something,
Yeah, so a lot of your most staunch critics can become some of your biggest fans. It depends on how you handle them. Larry did have the 20-minute phone call with them. That really helps, especially as a candidate. I wouldn't really put that effort in for like a publication or anything like that. But as a candidate, I think that's the best approach to somebody who is constantly starting shit on your page. So is there any other topics you guys want to cover before I get into team building? Yeah. I actually don't have the experience with Google AdWords. I'm just starting to get into Google AdWords. I know we use it for our website, getting trending topics, that kind of stuff, finding out what's trending to use that for search engine optimization for our articles. But past that, I really don't know much about it. Yeah. Yes, Twitter and Instagram is extremely important. That kind of gets into team building as well. So you're going to have your Facebook, and that's going to be your biggest platform. There are 2 billion users. Over 20% of them are daily users. So it's going to be your biggest platform no matter what. Twitter is the second one. Twitter is more involved. You're going to have more conversations with people on there. You're going to have a lot of arguments with people on there. But it's very important to have somebody dedicated to your Twitter who's not on your Facebook. Like for Think Liberty, I have a platform manager for every platform. So we have a Facebook platform manager, and then we have our Twitter platform manager, and our Twitter person stays off of Facebook. They just run Twitter all day long. It is very, very important because you can reach a lot of people on Twitter. You can have direct conversations with large figures who are on Twitter. The verified accounts, that's exactly who you want to be talking to, no matter what. Yeah. Yeah. You make a lot of connections on Twitter that you otherwise wouldn't on any other platform. So Twitter has its own little special place for social media marketing. Now, Instagram is owned by Facebook, so it kind of has the same community standards in terms of service and a similar advertising structure and similar algorithms. So with Twitter, if you guys aren't, or not Twitter, sorry, Instagram. If you're not on Instagram, it's mainly a image, like social media networking thing. So it's all images. So you're gonna want to have, like, if you're gonna be on Instagram, you need to be good at graphic design, or at least proficient, or know somebody who can make graphics for you. So the Instagram accounts that I run for being Libertarian and Think Liberty, we just run memes all the time. We also advertise our podcasts and sometimes our articles whenever they're, really trending. If they're on, guns or something like that, we know we're going to get a lot of clicks. We put it on Instagram, but you can only do it as an image. One good thing to remember about Instagram is you can't use links very proficiently. You can only have one link, and it's going to be in your bio. You cannot put links on images. They don't click through. So Instagram is really, really good for graphics, but not much else. But yeah, Twitter's great. Instagram's great. Another one to get on is Minds and Steemit. They're not super popular. They're just kind of starting out, but it's good to have a presence on there, especially when they're small. They're alternatives to Facebook. Since Facebook is really cracking down on content, a lot of people are getting kicked off of Facebook for their opinions or violating terms of service with the strategies that they had for page growth. That's what happened to Free Thought Project when it went down. It wasn't their content. It was the way that they were promoting themselves. They had a network of hundreds and hundreds of pages sharing the same links, and it went against their spam policy. That's why Free Thought Project, Police the Police, all of the major libertarian pages went down at the same time. That's why. So you really, on any platform, you need to read the terms of service, you need to read community standards, and you need to know exactly what violates it and what doesn't. Because sometimes there is a very thin line there, and you don't know what crosses and what doesn't. Always play it safe. There is an appeals process. I've had it work a couple times. Yeah, the appeals process is, okay, so a lot of times when content goes down, it's because of a bot or an algorithm catches something. So when it goes to an appeal, it goes in front of a person. So it really depends on what person is reviewing your content. I've had some success with appealing stuff, and then a lot of times I have not had success with appealing, but there is an appeals process, and then you can appeal it again and again. I've had some people's pages go down for seemingly no reason. It was appealed, and their page was right back up to where it was. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, there's like a little comment box when you're appealing, so you can make your case there. So, and if you're lucky enough, you can find a contact at Facebook, so you can just email them and be like, hey, tell me what's up with this. So, anyways, yeah. There's a lot, actually. So it depends on what you are promoting. If it's a candidate, or if it's a brand, or if it's a product, it depends on your audience. So if you're a candidate in a primarily 65 and older district, social media is not really going to do you a lot of good. If you are in a candidate with, like in a city or something, social media is going to be your best friend. So it really depends on the people who you are advertising for. Obviously, you're going to want to, do some studies on your demographics in your area. So if you do have a lot of 65 and under people, you should be on Facebook no matter what. You should always have some kind of Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram presence as a candidate. But the effectiveness of social media is almost everyone has it. Like, especially Facebook. Almost everyone has a Facebook. They're going to see you, or have the chance to see you, depending on how your content strategy is, how well you are at marketing yourself. You have a chance to see a lot of, to get on a lot of people's news feeds. It's really the best way to market yourself, because people don't watch TV as much anymore. Yes.
So related to that, a lot of people that doesn't
I always tell the people who say that social media has no impact to stop posting on social media then, because it's it's just ridiculous. Yeah. Yeah. There's a balance for sure. The best way to look at social media is it's a window into your campaign. You platform everything that you do in your campaign. You take pictures of every single thing you do in your campaign. Door knocking, events, passing out flyers at a local business. You take pictures, you document it, and you put it on social media so people can see into your campaign, see, how you conduct yourself as a candidate. This is how they get a view into your campaign for everything. So you're always being judged. I mean, that's kind of a fact of life now in the digital age. Everybody sees everything you do all the time. Social media is a good way to control that. You get in front of issues. You show people who you are as a candidate, and that's how you reach people. So I think social media is underestimated in that respect, because it complements all of the things that you need to win on your ground game. It complements your ground game. It pulls in more volunteers. There's ways that you can advertise for jobs on Facebook, especially as a candidate. That's very, very helpful. You can put out a sponsored application post for, let's say door knocking volunteers. And then you can target people who have done things like that in the past. So you get a lot of return for. It really depends. That kind of depends on your district, really. So, but I would never put it below 35% of allocation for social media marketing. So, yeah. Yes. I don't remember them off the top of my head, but if you can, just go into a search engine and put the effectiveness of social media in politics. One good thing to always point out is Donald Trump won because of social media. Whether it was, all of the 4chan memers, whether it was all of the ridiculous political ads he ran on all platforms, his asinine Twitter account that you can't tell if it's a fake tweet or a real tweet anymore. But Donald Trump's success was largely credited to social media. So it's absolutely an effective tool if used correctly. I think there are classier ways of running social media than Donald Trump, but that's just me. Any other? Yeah. YouTube is big. It's not as much a social media platform, but yes, it's big. Yeah. Reddit is big. We use it for our articles. We have, our contributors have their individual accounts on Reddit. We have them go on Reddit and post the articles that are native to our website. We have them post those in Reddit threads. Reddit's huge to get exposure. You can host Ask Me Anything sessions on Reddit, and those usually get some decent traction if you go in the right subreddits. Reddit's kind of a beast of its own, and it doesn't really have an effective advertising platform on there. Yeah. Always be paying attention to trending topics. Always try and have a couple people on your campaign team or close to your campaign team who are in those younger demographics to help you understand those demographics, the younger people who can, keep you up to date on like slang and stuff. God, I feel old talking about this. Yeah, but there's a couple generations younger now, and they have their own language. They have the things that they care about. They have the issues that they care about that you need to connect with them on. The issues of 30-year-olds are not the issues of 15-year-olds. They're not the issues of 20-year-olds. Too bad they're all socialists, but yes. Yeah, but a lot of them don't have a philosophical backing. So it is good to get in there with people who feel disaffected by the current system. And social media is a great way to do that because that's how they organize all of these events. That's how they organize their activism. That's how they get fired up about the issues that they care about, is social media sensation. So, go ahead. Hashtags. God, I love hashtags. They're great. So they're integral to how Twitter operates. People will start a hashtag. Usually verified accounts are the ones who start the hashtags that take off. You have to keep them simple. It has to be kind of versatile in its use. Just putting like 5 or 6 words together with a hashtag, it's not going to go anywhere. But it serves as a search function. That's kind of its other use besides just summing up a post. So when you click on a hashtag, you're going to see every other post that used that hashtag. So it's kind of like a categorical tool for Twitter. It also works on Facebook. Hashtags work on Facebook as a search tool.
For a while, I was grabbing trending topics.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't really have the desired effect. I have played around with that a little bit, so it's not a crazy idea. Like I have tried to put like unrelated hashtags on other posts to get them seen by people, but it's not, the people who are looking up those hashtags usually don't care. So I would come up with something at least semi-related, or maybe a shared interest of people who would care about your topic. And then, like, let's say if it was something about reproductive rights, you could put something in there about women's rights. So if you hashtagged it women's rights and you want them to weigh in on reproductive rights, then that would be a good one to put in there. So it's kind of unrelated, but it's still related. You're still going to have a lot of overlap in your audience. That's a good way to use it. I'm going to jump right into team building because that's something I really wanted to cover. Okay, so I manage a team of about 50 people between the 2 publications. Think Liberty was, I'm not going to say absorbed, but it was taken under the wing of Being Libertarian. So it's kind of a media conglomerate now. There's about 50 people on staff, like regular staff. The best way to do this is hierarchy. It kind of sounds, not so great with, certain libertarians, but hierarchy is the best way to do it. So you're going to need a CEO, a COO, and then you need your department directors or whatever. So how I set it up is we have a social media department, we have a website department, and then we have a multimedia department, since we're a media company. And then our social media director, which is me, then we have our platform managers under them. So we have a manager for each platform. You want to, when building a team, you want to divide the work up as much as possible. But you always want the work to come down from up top, that they give you the direction needed, and then that carries out through all of the departments. Now, when you have a small team, you want to kind of consolidate that, but keep the jobs similar. So it's something that people can combine. So if you want to have one social media director and no platform managers, that can work. There are a lot of tools out there that can help you consolidate your work into one platform, and then that'll go on all platforms. Like buffer.com is great for scheduling posts on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram all at the same time. So there's a lot of tools out there that can help you work with a small team. But the first thing I would do when creating a media team or whatever is come up with a structure and then find people to fill it. And then if you have to consolidate job roles, do it then. But come up with your structure and job titles first and then fill them. Don't try and find people first and then give them an arbitrary job title. That's the best way to go about team building from the way I've seen it. And teams function a lot better when there is, set structure beforehand. They know exactly what their job responsibilities are. They know exactly what's expected of them, how they should behave, who they report to, who reports to them. It makes things a lot easier. So, any other questions before we wrap up? No. No, they're not. All volunteer. You kind of give them an incentive because, at least with my publication, it's the largest one on Facebook. We have the largest libertarian independent media presence in the world. So that's kind of an incentive to get people to work. I can't talk about like specifics, but it's definitely an incentive that replaces the monetary incentive. Yes. We have a lot of contributors. They would be classified just as contributors, and then we have our platform managers and stuff like that. So the work is divvied up well. Yes. Mm-hmm. That's the structure I prefer for candidate teams. I don't think the candidate should really be involved in the day-to-day operations of media. Yeah. Yeah.
And this is an error that we made more than once out of fear. We pulled posts.
Yeah. Yep. And that can show people, that you do make mistakes, but that you handle them gracefully. And they can, it'll show them, okay, so he's not going to run from his mistakes, he's going to own up to them. And then whenever you explain why you think you were wrong, people learn from that. And people respect that a lot more than just ducking tail and running. So. Mm-hmm. Thank you.